You also need to find out about attendance goals. That helps you be realistic. If it's a 10,000 person show, it's probably not too realistic that you're going to get 8,000 leads. I get a lot of first-time exhibitors though that think that. They think that, oh wow, there's 10,000 people, I'm going to get 9,500 leads. And it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. So you need to keep in mind that there are some basic rules, kind of like Murphy's Law kind of thing, only it's basic rules as far as the number of people at trade shows. Example of a theme. You're going to see a picture of the booth coming up in a little bit, but they did a diner theme, and this was what they had for their brochure in the booth, was a menu. This was their menu of services. What a great idea following through on that theme. And what else was an advantage of this theme? People spent time in the booth. They sat down on the bar stools and looked through the literature. So they actually were staying in the booth. So if you create an environment, people are much more likely to stick around. Plan your publicity. Now, I'm going to talk about this more in June with the partnership idea, but I'm going to ask a true confessions question again here. How many of you think that publicity is the show manager's job? Oh, I'm so glad no hands went up. Either you're too chicken to admit it, or you really do take it as a partnership. And that's the way it needs to be. Yes, show management should be doing publicity for you, but it's not completely their job. You need to be doing some publicity of your own. What I always tell exhibitors, show management's job is to get people in the door. Your job is to get them to find your booth. So just because they've told you 10,000 people are coming, it's your job to make sure as many of those 10,000 people as possible know that you're there and where to find you. And sometimes your themes can be very unusual. This is one of my favorite ones. I don't get to share this a lot of times, but this was the pre-show mailer. That's what they made. Now, I don't know how many of these they mailed out, but the box says, stare into these baby blues from point blank range and ask her if she'd like to arm wrestle. Their attraction in their booth, which we're going to talk about attractions in a minute, but their booth attraction was the male and female world arm wrestling champions. And so your challenge was to come in and arm wrestle these champions, and if you beat them, then you won, whatever the grand prize was. If you didn't beat them, you got a t-shirt. Well, I got a t-shirt. But she tried to make me feel good. She's like, oh, you're doing a real good job, I'm sure she just sits there for a while and then smashes your knee. But they sent out this little thing of arm wrestling chalk. I mean, it's just like a baby powder thing that they put a custom label on. But what a clever idea. This was not a cheap pre-show mailer to do, but it definitely got people's attention. And they had a line at their booth. And the best part, they worked the line. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but they actually worked the line so that they were getting something out of it. They weren't just, having lots of people stand waiting for arm wrestling. Yes. And another point I'll mention there is just make sure your follow-up is good and thorough, and bad follow-up can be worse than none at all. I've had some people that have followed up in bad ways, and a perfect example, I had a travel agent one time. I was interested in a vacation in Las Vegas, and she sent me Las Vegas brochures with a letter addressed to Dear Jamie. My name's not Jamie. Congratulations on your upcoming honeymoon in Aruba. Like, no, I don't think so. Unless Helen had some plan without me. But, did I book with the travel agent? No, I thought if she couldn't handle stuff in envelopes, I probably didn't want to book her my airline tickets, And yet, there you go. You don't know where you're going to end up with that travel agent. So, again, it's the kind of thing where it's all part of the impressions that you're creating. And make sure that you're making the right impression with your follow-ups.